Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter for boxing-related tweets, or you can subscribe to the channel and get a notification whenever a new video is uploaded. Here I am in London town, snowy London town. It's absolutely pouring of snow outside. You could build an army of snowmen out there. I'm allergic to the cold personally, so I thought I'd stay home and bring you guys another video. Conor McGregor last night got stopped by Dustin Poirier. It was a flurry of punches. There was a lot of talk prior to that of a potential fight between McGregor and Pacquiao. I can't imagine there being much interest now in that. Obviously, if someone like Poirier is knocking you out with a flurry of punches, you know, against a man who is the master of a flurry of punches in a boxing ring, you're not going to have much chance. Now, to be fair to Conor McGregor, because obviously we always want to be fair here, he did have a lot of damage to his leg done with a lot of kicks. Now, Pacquiao obviously wouldn't offer that. So it doesn't mean just because Poirier put him in a position to do that to him, that Pacquiao would put him in a position to do that to him. But I think the majority of boxing fans especially would see this as a bit of a non-fight, so to speak. We'd much rather, boxing fans would much rather see Pacquiao in the ring against the likes of Errol Spence, against Terence Crawford. We'd want to see Manny Pacquiao in the ring against, there's talk of Ryan Garcia. That would be an interesting fight, although I think it's far too early for Ryan. But we'd watch it, we'd be interested. Whereas McGregor-Pacquiao in a boxing ring now has lost a bit of that magic. However, there is a potential out here, and that is, what if there was a hybrid fight between Conor McGregor or any UFC fighter, but for the purposes of this video, Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao, or perhaps Floyd Mayweather, who's been very quick to call McGregor a bum today. And what I mean by hybrid fight is that you get them in a UFC cage, but no grappling is allowed, and all other striking is allowed. This is something that Anthony Joshua has spoken about in the past. Anthony Joshua came out and said, he was asked, I think it was about Francis Ngannou, who is the most powerful recorded striker in history. Now, that doesn't mean he's the most powerful fight puncher in history, because not everybody goes and tests themselves on these machines. But of all the fighters that have been tested on these machines, Francis Ngannou, the UFC fighter, is the biggest puncher ever recorded. And when Joshua was asked about this a few years ago, he said, listen, I'm willing to fight anybody in a straight-up striking fight. You can use hands, feet, kicks, knees, elbows, just no grappling. Now, Anthony Joshua was right to say that because, listen, if it comes to grappling, it's going to be very, very difficult for a boxer to come out on top. The only way a boxer can beat a top-class grappler, like a Greco-Roman wrestler, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter who's elite level, the only way a boxer beats these guys is if he hurts him early, if he does the damage early, before they fall into a clinch and he takes him to the ground. Once he's taken to the ground or he's taken in a clinch, it's a very, very difficult situation for the boxer to deal with, because a boxer's hands are elite level. There's no doubt about it, elite level. In the clinch, a boxer's quite limited in the grand scheme of things when it comes to in comparison to some of these top grappling arts. And in terms of kicking, obviously a boxer is, boxing as a martial art is non-existent. So you've got a couple of things that are non-existent. Another thing that's limited, the hands are elite level. Well, to take out a grappler, you've got to do that damage, land early, take him out early. Let's say he's a wrestler and he wants to shoot at your legs, take out your legs. You've got to have the mental capacity and the lightness on your feet to be able to evade that, maintain range. How many times do you think you're going to be able to do that? So realistically speaking, you've got to clock him on his way in, hurt him, take him out. That's the only choice you've got. Kind of like what Ray Mercer did when Ray Mercer transitioned to an MMA fight. Whereas James Toney, who also transitioned, it didn't work out well for him because he's not as light on his feet, and he wasn't able to land not as light on his feet, but he wasn't able to land early and take the guy out. I think that was against Randy Couture. Now, if you're not able to take a guy out quickly, and the longer the fight goes, the more chance the mixed martial artist will have against the boxer. So Anthony Joshua would have been very much aware of this, and he would have been very much aware that if he was in the ring, say against a Daniel Cormier, for instance, unless he knocks Cormier out at range, once they get anywhere from mid to close range, he's in trouble. It's over. He's getting taken down. So he's obviously suggested, how about it becomes a striking contest. Now, nothing came about that. It was obviously just talk from AJ. I'm not saying he wouldn't be interested in doing it one day, but the cash cows, whether it's Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, I don't know, Canelo Alvarez, they're not going to be willing to take these risks at this stage of their career. Imagine you go over and you get absolutely annihilated and pummeled. All of a sudden, your stardom is affected. So they're not going to take this risk at this stage of their careers. However, it would be interesting, wouldn't it, to see Manny Pacquiao against McGregor or Floyd against McGregor, even in the latter part, their twilight of their careers, in a UFC cage with all striking allowed. A lot of people mocked Conor McGregor. He's not a boxer. He's not. Conor actually did a lot better than people gave him credit for, to be honest with you. You know, a lot of people were saying, Floyd was carrying him. He wasn't carrying him. No one gets punched in the face on purpose. Let's be serious now. There was one point where Floyd threw a right hand, McGregor stepped back, he fell short, Floyd, and then he got caught with a left uppercut. That was a lovely move from Conor McGregor. If he goes and knocks Mayweather out with an uppercut, what's Mayweather going to say? No one gets punched in the face on purpose. Now, if you're going to tell me that maybe Floyd wasn't going full out, he was pacing himself, adding foot pressure, looking to tire McGregor out, looking to absorb shots, knowing that he could deflect shots to take him out down the straight, that's fair enough. You could tell me he held back. You could tell me he was always in control. You could tell me he's vastly superior boxer. I won't argue with you. Okay, I agree. But wouldn't it be interesting if Conor was also allowed to throw elbows? If Conor was also allowed to kick? Now it becomes much more interesting. Especially because if they're wearing mitts, the weapons of a UFC fighter, of a boxer rather, are magnified. All of a sudden, his punching power is going to be magnified. The accuracy will be magnified. You're not going to have this big glove where, you know, the power is sort of spread across the glove. It's going to be more limited to a smaller point, okay, which means a maximum transition from the hand to the target when it comes to power. His hands are going to be faster too. They're lighter. If you're wearing mitts, your hands are lighter. You're not wearing the wraps, you're not wearing the big gloves, so they're going to move more quickly, right? It now becomes a lot more interesting. Maybe now Floyd or Pacquiao knock Conor out even more quickly, or maybe he ruins their leg, destroys their leg from range, keeps away from them, then puts his foot on the gas and busts them up. Maybe as they're on the inside trying to work that body, Conor throws an elbow. You're not allowed to do that in boxing. You could sit there, break an orbital bone, break a cheekbone, break a jawbone. All of a sudden, that elite level boxer, all of a sudden now he's in two minds. Wow, man, what works for me in boxing doesn't work for me when he's allowed to use elbows too. Becomes interesting. So let me know what you think. Would there ever be interest in that sort of hybrid fight? Something that AJ had suggested so long ago. And if so, which fighters do you think would be willing to take that risk in this day and age? Conor's got nothing to lose now. I'm assuming he'd be in. Of course he'd be in. It would definitely suit him. So which boxer would be willing to fight Conor McGregor in that sort of fight? Who do you think? I can't imagine it being a cash cow. But who else do you think would take that risk? Let me know what you think. Chat to you soon. Take care and God bless.